Hey there, me again. It's Lara here with part two of the Virgo New Moon video. So, if you saw my post on Facebook or Instagram yesterday, or you may have actually tried to watch the video because it was up for a couple of minutes before I realized that as I was running through the 12 signs, I somehow skipped right over Sagittarius, and then that sort of threw everything off. So we can't have that, right? Otherwise, I would be giving you the wrong information, and poor Sagittarius would not get a horoscope this week. So I couldn't let that stand. So anyway, I realized this last night after sort of a busy day, and I just decided to take the video down and sort it out today. So what I've done here is I cut out the last part of the video. So the introduction that I recorded yesterday about the Virgo New Moon is what it's what I recorded yesterday. And so I was really happy with it. So I just cut out the last part. And in this video, I'm going to run through the 12 signs in correct order and not miss anybody, and give you an idea of how this Virgo New Moon on September 6th is impacting you personally, based first and foremost on rising sign, right? We talked about that. I like to remind you that in a general forecast, the rising sign is the most accurate. And then you can also listen for your sun sign and your moon sign. And that may resonate more or less week to week, depending on, what's going on for you. But the rising sign is based on the actual houses that this is happening in for you personally, if you are a Virgo rising or a Leo rising or whatever. So that much we can know in a general forecast. So that's what I'm doing here. And if you haven't watched part one, the introduction, then you're not going to have the context and all of the pieces of the puzzle here to allow you to really get the most out of what I'm going to say to you here, right? So definitely listen to part one, listen to that introduction. And just to really quickly, if you're listening to the two videos at different times or what have you, I just want you to know this new moon on September 6th is happening at 14 degrees of Virgo. And it's at, let me take a quick peek, 8:51 p.m. Eastern time. That's my time zone, so that's what I use. And the big aspect that we're looking at when I'm going through these horoscopes is the trine from Uranus and Taurus to the new moon in Virgo. Uranus and Taurus is at exactly 14 degrees Taurus, fellow earth sign, and making this really nice trine to the new moon. And so we talked about the significance of all of that in the intro, as well as a whole bunch of other trines that are happening at this same time. And then, a couple of other sort of trickier, more irritating aspects that you may want to be aware of too. So that's all in the intro. And enough about that, enough repeating myself. I'm going to launch in and I'm going to give you where this new moon is hitting your chart, what house, what life themes it's highlighting for you, right? And we talked about this whole idea of re-enchanting life. We talked about this in part one. And so the idea here is that you take the information I'm giving you and you think about it in those terms, and you whatever intentions you may begin or whatever is initiated for you at the time of this new moon sort of has that capacity, or it's encouraging us in that way, right, to bring that sense of enchantment into our lives. And so I'll talk about the house that the new moon's falling in, and then I'll touch on the trine from Uranus. So where is Uranus sitting in your chart, and where can you expect that Uranian energy, right? That energy of maybe surprise and disruption and sudden change and liberation and a call for freedom and these kinds of things that Uranus brings But in this case, this is actually supporting this new moon energy. So where's that, going on in your chart? So that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to start with Virgo, because Virgo, this is your new moon. And, if you're a Virgo sun sign, this is your new moon for the year. If you're a Virgo rising, this is happening in your first house, which is very significant. When we have things happen in the first house, it's a big deal, because it can really impact everything in our lives, because the first house is all about us. The first house is about you as a person. It is about your physical being and your physical vitality, your appearance, your approach to the world, the way you come at the world, the way the world perceives you, your sort of jumping off point for your life's trajectory, in a sense, right? So this is where this is happening for you. And with this new moon hitting your first house, it is an opportunity for starting something new, for planting new seeds, for something new to be initiated or conceived of, that will grow, and that, through taking action in your life, you can grow. And something, the initial sort of culmination, or the initial bearing of fruit, will happen around the full moon in Pisces, which is 2 weeks from now on September 20th. But in the longer term, we're looking at a 6-month period to the full moon in Virgo that happens on March 18th of 2022. So that's the sort of trajectory, right? And then you've got Uranus in Taurus in your 9th house, making a trine to this new moon. And so, whereas the first house is about the self and, your physicality and all the things I mentioned already, the 9th house is about expanding your horizons. And we expand our horizons in a number of different, ways, through higher education, teaching, learning, through travel to places that inspire us, or teach us something that we've never experienced before, adventure, and through connecting with people who are different from us, foreign cultures, that kind of thing. And this can even be done, I use the phrase armchair travel sometimes, because not all of us have the opportunity to, especially these days, travel long distances. So we can learn new things by reading books, watching documentaries, talking to people who are different from us, expanding our horizons in those ways, learning about something new, taking a course of study that allows you to see the world in a different way. The 9th house is how we see the world, right? And our beliefs and our worldview changes when we expand our horizons and open our minds and these kinds of things. So that's very 9th house. So there's a connection there. Something is going on in the 9th house with Uranus there. Over the long term, Uranus is actually in Taurus for about 8 years. And so it's about halfway through its journey there right now. Excuse me. And it has been disrupting the status quo in that area of life for you. And or maybe calling you to disrupt things, right? But at the time of this new moon, it is supporting whatever new thing wants to happen in that first area of life, right? Which is all about, like I said, you. It's the overall picture almost. It's the container, of you, and what you kind of bring to the world. So this could be, a number of different things. It could be things like you, through some higher course of study, are coming at the world in a different way, right? Or you're being perceived in a different way. Like maybe you've taken a degree program and you're graduating, and so now you're, Dr. So-and-so or something like that. Or this could be you learning things that allow you to increase your, your physical vitality or something like that. This could be taking a trip that really makes you feel alive, or learning something that makes you feel, alive, kind of thing. It is one of the things I remember talking about in yesterday's video. I'm a Virgo rising. And so, one of the things, really, really simple things, when you're thinking about your own person and your body and your appearance, how can you bring a sense of enchantment to that, right? In your everyday life. And something as simple as, maybe adorning yourself with, jewelry that you like, or wearing something that makes you feel good, or that kind of thing. And for me, like during the pandemic, I was saying this yesterday when we were all in our track pants and such, I went through this period where I wasn't, really putting on earrings and this kind of thing. And I don't feel that good. Like if I go out of the house without earrings on, I know it sounds like a silly thing. I feel like uncomfortable, like not me, it's weird. But so just like taking the 2 or 3 minutes to pick out something that, you're going to feel good in, that makes you feel good, it is, when we talk about a sense of enchantment, I talked about this in the intro, in the video yesterday, and it's like when we do that, it brings a greater sense of purpose and meaning, right, to our lives. So we can think about it that way as well. How can we live life on the day-to-day with more purpose and meaning and more awareness that, there is a purpose to what we do, and that our approach to the world has an impact, right, on other people, and maybe how they see the world. Maybe we're the ones who are expanding other people's horizons, for example, right? And Uranus can bring some kind of opportunity for that, in some way, and it could be quite sudden, because that's that's sort of the effect that Uranus has. So I'm going to leave you with that, Virgo, and I hope that gives you enough to go on. Definitely listen to part 1, listen to the introductory video if you haven't yet. And I'm going to move on to Libra now. So Libra, for you, this new moon is happening in your 12th house. So it is an opportunity for a new beginning, for initiating something new in, for planting some seeds of intention in the area of life that has to do with things that go on behind closed doors, literally and metaphorically, right? So like the subconscious, your bad habits that may sabotage you, that come, from your sort of, from subconscious places. This can be like your spiritual life and your connection to spirituality in some way, shape, or form. This can be you escaping from the world in some way. And, the 12th house is sort of the opposite of the 6th house, which is, what we kind of, our daily routine. This is what we do when we're not doing our daily routine, right? It's perhaps how we, vacation or take a break or spend time in solitude and isolation for better or worse kind of thing. It can be, it can speak to endings and losses. It's the 12th house. It's the last house in the zodiac wheel. And so it can speak to things coming to a close or to an end. It can speak to things that are kind of like our blind spots, right? Things that we are not consciously aware of, or maybe things that are going on kind of behind our backs even. secrets, that kind of thing. And it can be in a literal, practical sense about places that people spend time in that are tucked away from the world. Places like, hospitals, healthcare facilities, rehabilitation centers, even prisons, detention facilities, spiritual retreat centers, all these kinds of things, right? So that's where the new moon is happening for you. And then you have this trine from Uranus in your 8th house, which is another quite, sort of deep, dark kind of house. And it speaks to themes of your entanglements with other people, your intimate sort of connections with other people. Other people's resources is a big 8th house theme. So things like other people's money, your partner's money, or money that comes and goes via taxes, insurance, debt, loans, bursaries, scholarships, inheritance, these kinds of things. And it is our sort of psychological health, right? It's the deep, dark corners of our psyche, and how we sort of, how that impacts us. The 8th house has an association, with the concept of transformation. It's like the death and rebirth cycle kind of thing. And so there is something going on in that area of your life with Uranus there that can feel quite disruptive, because Uranus is there to shake things up over the next, kind of 4 years. You've still got about 4 years of Uranus there. But in relation to this new moon, Uranus is bringing some kind of surprise, change of direction, disruption that ultimately is supporting whatever new thing is wanting to happen in relation to your 12th house, right? So, for example, if you have been, like, maybe there's some sort of a health issue that's been going on for you or people in your life, and you get the green light with some kind of insurance, maybe, that helps you deal with this. Or there is somebody has passed and there's an inheritance that allows you then to take a break. It could be that, you're looking, like, you're doing your solitude differently, or you're doing, you're looking to deal with some kind of maybe mental health issues, or self-sabotaging behaviors, or things like that, and you suddenly encounter like the right therapy or the right therapist or something like that, right? Which would be an 8th house thing as well. This could be, what else? Let me think here for a quick second. It could even be something like, you're looking for some kind of, again, like there's like some sort of retreat maybe you want to go on, and then you're able to kind of get a loan or funding or something like that for that to happen. So there's a lot of different ways this can play out, right? But ultimately it is that 12th house where the new moon is hitting, and think about like bringing a sense of re-enchantment to that area of life somehow, which I know might sound a little bit strange, but how can your downtime even feel more meaningful and purposeful, and like it matters, right? And like there is somehow a bit of like, it's not just for the sake of it kind of thing. So listen to the introduction, because that's going to give you the context for everything that I've said here. And I hope that gives you enough to go on, Libra. And I'm going to move on to Scorpio now. So Scorpio, for you, this new moon is happening in your 11th house, which is the house that deals with friends, the group, you know, so any kind of groups that you're connected to or associated with, networks, even online communities, people you connect with in a group online, that kind of thing, even Facebook groups. But also very much about your allies and your supporters and your hopes and dreams for the future, right? And so this is where the new moon is happening for you. And it's about perhaps starting something new here, planting new seeds of intention, something being initiated here that is different from maybe what you would normally do, which feels more maybe meaningful and purposeful, and even sort of sacred or enchanted in some way. And that's being helped out by Uranus and Taurus over in your 7th house of one-to-one close personal relationships. You know, Uranus is hitting this new moon via trine, right? And so this can be, you know, when I say one-to-one close personal relationships, this can be like a marriage partner, significant other. It can be a business partnership. It can be close friends or family members. It can be, foot cramp, sorry. This is an awkward position to sit in sometimes for any length of time. But so close friends and family members, it can be rivals even that you know of, you know, like sometimes a friendly rivalry or somebody you know that you're in competition with. It can also be contracts and agreements in the 7th house. And it can very much speak to, you know, when we have something going on in the 7th house, sometimes it's not about us, it's about the other people, right? Like our partner, for example, something's going on with them. And so when you have Uranus transiting your 7th house, which is, it's only about halfway through its journey there. It has almost about 4 years to go. Still, it is disrupting this area of life, right? This partnership house. And this house of contracts and agreements and these kinds of things. And so it could be that like there's a lot going on for your partner or for some significant other or for a business partner or something like that, that is disruptive, and that is, you know, perhaps, you know, they are seeking a sense of freedom in some way, or liberation, or change, you know, disrupting the status quo, that kind of thing. In general, your relationships are seeing this Uranian energy, right? And we talked about what Uranus represents in the introduction. So in part 1 of this video. So if you haven't listened to that, then please do. And it will make more sense what I'm saying here. So that's where Uranus is sitting, and it's supporting this new moon via trine. You know, it's this energy of harmony and flow and upliftment. And so, you know, and with the 11th house, like I already talked about, this could be something like something goes on for your partner that involves allies, supporters, friends, the group, networks, this kind of thing, right? Something new is happening there. And it feels for them meaningful and purposeful and you know, that sort of thing. It could be somebody comes into your life suddenly, business partner, you know, a family, close family member suddenly appears, or like some contract is offered up or something like that, right? And it's quite sudden, and it may even be a little bit disruptive, but it's ultimately initiating maybe new friendships, maybe new networks, maybe new supporters and allies and this kind of thing, right? So look for the new beginnings, or intend for the new beginnings regarding those 11th house themes. And then, keep an eye out for the Uranian effect on the 7th house, right? That's in support of this new moon. So that's for you, Scorpio. I'm going to move on to Sagittarius now, who I missed yesterday. So here I am, Sag, and it is a new moon happening in your 10th house. So this new moon is hitting a really public area of your chart. It is the top of the chart. It is the 10th house speaks to our worldly ambitions, our public life, our career, the legacy we wish to leave, our sense of authority in the world, and our relationship to authority figures sometimes is the 10th house. So all of these things. So this new moon in Virgo is looking to have a fresh start for you in this area of life, right? And that's like, there's some kind of initiation going on, or something you're intending in relation to those things and to those themes. And it can feel more, it can feel like you have the opportunity for more enchantment in this area of life, like we talked about in the intro, to bring more purpose and meaning to this area of life, right? Even in the things you do in the day-to-day world that are in relation to your career or legacy or what have you. And you've got support from Uranus and Taurus in your 6th house, which is also a house that speaks to work, but it's more about the daily grind and the, checking off the ticky boxes on the day-to-day, the tasks we do, whether they be paid or unpaid. It's about how you are in service, that sense of sort of sacred service to the world. It is your health, and any illnesses that you're struggling with. And it can speak to pets as well. And so there's support here. Uranus is supporting this new moon via trine. And so how could this play out potentially? Well, you could get a new job. Like there could be a career move, or a career move that you are intending, that you want. And you get this support, from the 6th house, where maybe you've been dealing with some health issues and there's a sudden shift in that. And so that allows you to pursue what you've wanted to pursue. Or this can have to do with something like something in your daily routine changes, and it may even feel a little disruptive. Or it may feel liberating, or it may feel, a bit surprising. Something in your daily routine, or something related to health, or something related to pets shifts quite quickly. And that in turn supports this new thing in your career area, or some like legacy project, or some public kind of activity that you're involved in. So, it could be like, I can see this as things like, because, I posted this article, I think I talked about this in the intro, on the Great Resignation that's happening. And, it was based in the States, but it's happening in a lot of places. And because people are just realizing that they don't want to go back to the life they were living, and being, like a slave to their jobs and that kind of thing. And so there may be something, either that a change you initiate, or a change that is initiated for you, that really impacts your daily routine and your career in some way. But it's an opportunity to, you know, do something maybe more meaningful or purposeful, or that feels more, you know, enchanted, or it's this idea of, like I said, bringing that notion of enchantment to what we do on the day to day. And in this case, it may revolve around your work and career. So, okay, I'm going to leave that there, Sagittarius, and please listen to the part 1 video for the bigger picture, right, and the context. And I'm going to move on to Capricorn now. So Capricorn, for you, this new moon is happening in your 9th house. So it is all about, you know, starting something new, initiating something new, doing, conceiving of something new that is about expanding your horizons, ultimately. It's about, you know, how we see the world and how our worldview is impacted by things we learn, and people we interact with that are different from us, and places that we may go and travel that are different, or things we learn, you know, as an armchair traveler through watching documentaries and reading books and taking classes and you know, doing programs of higher study maybe, or these kinds of things, right? So that is very much 9th house. And there is this trine from Uranus in Taurus in your 5th house, which is what brings you joy, how you have fun in life, things revolving around children, things revolving around your creative life, and, you know, how you express yourself creatively, creative projects, that kind of thing. So, you know, Uranus is shaking things up there. And in the case of this new moon, something sort of disruptive or sudden or liberating or freeing can transpire that is supporting the initiation of something new in your 9th house. So, and again, when it's the 5th house, it could be something that's going on for your kids, if you have kids, right? Sometimes I see that happening. It's in the life of your kids. So it could be like, in this instance, it could be like your kids graduated and they're moving on to, say, like university or college, and they are going to move away from home, 9th house, be living in a new place, starting a new program of study at a college or university somewhere, right? Like, I happen to know a friend of my son's who is a little bit older than him, and she went off to France to study there, you know, for university. And so that would be very much the scenario in real life. And so it's that kind of thing. Or it could be, this could be like travel for fun and pleasure, right? That happens. This could be some kind of, your involvement in some kind of creative project that allows you to learn something new, teach something new, have a new adventure, view the world differently, this kind of thing. So those are some examples. They are by no means an exhaustive list. Definitely have a listen to the introduction, because that's going to bring you the context. So if you haven't listened to part 1 video, this isn't going to really mean a whole lot. The introduction has all the nuts and bolts kind of thing. So definitely listen to that. And I'll put the link below to that video just so that it's easy to get to. So I'm going to leave that there for you, Capricorn. I'm going to move on to Aquarius now. So Aquarius, the new moon in Virgo is sitting in your 8th house. And this is an initiation of sorts, right? Are you intending something, or something new happening, a new cycle beginning here in relation to 8th house themes of your entanglements with other people. So your intimate connections with other people, other people's resources. So that can be like taxes, debt, insurance, loans, inheritance, you know, wills, bursaries, scholarships, some kind of a like windfall, you know, that sort of thing. It's also about our psychological health, our psychological sort of wounding and healing, right? And this sense of transformation. It's about death and rebirth. The eighth house is sometimes like, you know, I think of it as the Joseph Campbell quote, "The cave we fear to enter holds the treasure we seek." Like in some ways we can think of the eighth house as that, you know, but it has other significations as well. But so that is where the new thing is being initiated. And there is support for whatever this is from Uranus and Taurus in your fourth house of home, family, place of living, roots, ancestry, emotional security, you know, that kind of thing. So Uranus is shaking things up in that area of life for you over this kind of 8-year stretch that we're about halfway through right now. And it can feel disruptive, or there can be a need for freedom around these themes, or you know, liberation. There can be some shock and awe that goes on with Uranus, some innovation, some insights, you know, that come sort of suddenly, happenings around those themes of home and family and that sort of thing, real estate even. So in the case of this new moon, something's transpiring here. Something's being initiated in the 8th house that is being supported by the 4th house. These two areas are working in harmony for this full new moon. What can this look like? Oh my goodness, many things. There can be something like something goes on in your family of origin that initiates some kind of a healing journey. You know, something, there can be like something going on with maybe wills and inheritance and real estate and that kind of thing, potentially. There can be things going on like you get a loan, or you're able to remortgage to do renovations, or there is an insurance claim that is initiated, you know, that allows for something to be resolved on the home front. There can be some sort of something is initiated in an intimate relationship. And when I say intimate relationship, that doesn't just mean like physically intimate, right? It's about psychological intimacy as well. So there's something like a new cycle that can potentially begin there that is connected to a shocking event, or a sudden change, or a need for liberation, you know, in the family, or from the family, or from the place of living, or that kind of thing. So there's these kinds of things that are happening. Many other other things I could say about it, as always, but you know what's going on in your own life, and I've given you these themes, and so you can kind of apply that, and you can think about, you know, bringing a sense of purpose and meaning, and perhaps, you know, enchantment to that 8th house area of life, right? Your intimate connections, your entanglements with other people, the sort of deep dark spaces, the sense of transformation, you know, like, here's something that just came to mind for some strange reason, but maybe you're kind of the one who is thinking about the future, and you're, you know, compiling a will or something like that. And you're doing that with a sense of like reverence for life, and you're thinking about the, you know, the meaning and the purpose and all of that kind of thing, right? So that's just, like I said, something that popped into my head. So listen to the introduction. That's going to give you all the big picture and all the different pieces, and it's going to allow you to kind of put this, what I've just said to you here, in context. This new moon will culminate initially at the full moon in Pisces on September 20th, and then in longer range vision sort of thing, it will culminate at the March 18th full moon in Virgo, in the same area of the chart. So it's kind of like that 6-month time frame, right, that we're looking at. So, all right, that's for you, Aquarius. I'm going to move on to Pisces now, where we have the new moon hitting your 7th house. So this is the house of one-to-one partnerships, close personal relationships, contracts and agreements. You know, your significant other, close bonds with, you know, family and friends and business partners, even that kind of thing. So something new is being initiated here. Maybe a new relationship, maybe something new happening for your partner. Your partner is starting something new, or there's a new business partnership, you know, that you're intending or trying to get off the ground, or there's an opportunity for that kind of thing. And there is support here from Uranus and Taurus in your 3rd house of your daily communications, of your daily commute, of, you know, short distance travel, things like, you know, a little kind of weekend getaways, even things that are going on with schooling, teaching, learning. Usually we're talking like elementary school, high school level, or things that you're teaching, learning, you know, that are more like about the basics kind of thing, the foundational stuff. This is about, this can be about commerce. It can be about marketing. It can be about vehicles, even in the 3rd house. It's like, you know, the things that are all kind of swirling around us in our day-to-day environment. And so, this can look a lot of different ways. Uranus is supporting whatever is trying to get off the ground in your 7th house, because it's hitting that new moon via trine, right? So something in the 3rd house may transpire that's a bit disruptive, that's a bit surprising, that's maybe a bit sudden, that's a sudden insight, a sudden communication comes in, you know, piece of information, that kind of thing. And it then directly impacts something new in relation to the 7th house. And it may bring, like, so I can see this as for one example that really comes to mind is like your partner maybe gets a sudden communication that initiates something for them that allows them to bring more sense of meaning and purpose, right, to their lives. Or there is, you know, there are maybe you are intentionally trying to re-enchant your relationship, you know, and that can be via communication, that can be via maybe some weekend getaways or something like that you have the opportunity to take. It can be, this could be something transpiring for, like in a business, right? A business partnership that has to do with marketing or commerce or something like that. And ultimately, it can feel purposeful and meaningful. And you know, with Virgo, there's often this sense of sort of like sacred service, or the things we do on the day-to-day bringing purpose and meaning to our lives, right? And so I use that phrase of like enchantment, and I read the piece in the intro video yesterday by Sharon Blackie. So if you haven't listened to that, then please do, because it'll bring you more context, you know, and allow you to kind of get a better grip on what I'm relaying to you here. So this new moon will culminate at the Pisces full moon in a couple weeks' time, on September 20th. So you'll have a full moon in your sign, and you'll see perhaps that initial kind of bearing of fruit, right? From whatever seeds were planted here at this new moon. But then in longer range, it's culminating at the Virgo full moon on March 18th of 2022. So you can look for that trajectory. So that's for you, Pisces. I'm moving on to Aries now. This is getting a lot longer than I intended, but here we go. Aries, for you, this new moon is happening in your 6th house. So 6th house themes of your health and wellness, illnesses you may have been, grappling with, your daily routine, the work you do on the day-to-day, whether that be paid or unpaid work, how you are in service to the world, things revolving around pets. These are all 6th house themes. And so something new is being initiated here. You're being encouraged to plant some new seeds in this area of life, right? Or something is transpiring that is new for you in some way. And it is being supported by Uranus and Taurus in your 2nd house of your personal finances and your personal resources. So money, also time and energy, of what you value, of your self-worth, how you get your basic needs met. These are 2nd house themes. And so Uranus is there disrupting that area of life for like 8 years time. And it's about halfway through its transit through Taurus. And we talked about the significations of Uranus in the intro video. So you should definitely listen to that part 1 video. But, in relation to this new moon specifically, there is support from whatever Uranus is disrupting in the 2nd house to begin the new thing in the 6th house, right? These two areas of life are working together at this new moon and giving you the opportunity to bring more meaning and purpose and enchantment here, into your life, perhaps into your daily routine, into your health and wellness routines, into your service work, into your connection with pets in some way even, right? So it could be like there's some work you're doing on the day-to-day that suddenly brings in more money, and it's kind of unexpected, or it liberates you in some way, right? Or there could be this is such a silly example, but astrology can be so literal sometimes, and you just never know. So this popped into my head, and I'm gonna say it. This can be something like pets that you are involved with or that you own. Somehow, like, there's money involved. Like, it could, whether it's through like breeding or something like that, but even like winning like a photo contest or something like that. Like, it sounds so silly, but it's really true. Potentially, something like that could happen. It could be that you are initiating something new in terms of your health and dealing with health issues, and doing that with purpose and meaning, and in turn that allows you to maybe bring in more money, or to something transpires with, there's maybe a shakeup in your values in some way, or a shakeup in getting your basic needs met in some way, that then in turn positively impacts a fresh start in the 6th house, which we've talked about those themes. So this new moon is culminating initially at the full moon in Pisces on September 20th. So 2 weeks time, right? Look for that first sort of bearing of fruit, or intend for that. And then in the longer term trajectory, we're talking about the full moon in Virgo on March 18th of 2022. So, set your sights on that for this coming to a culmination point, in a larger sense. So that's for you, Aries. And we're going to move to Taurus now, where we've got the new moon happening in your 5th house of what sparks joy for you, what brings you pleasure in life, how you have fun, things revolving around children and child, you know, like even things like conceiving and pregnancy and that sort of thing. It's also about your creative life and your creative projects, right? How you shine out in the world. These are 5th house themes. So there is an opportunity for something new to happen here, or for you to initiate something new that feels purposeful and meaningful and sacred, perhaps, and enchanted in some way even. And that is supported by Uranus in your 1st house in Taurus. So, you know, Uranus has been moving through your sign, Taurus, for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, and it's about halfway through its journey there. So there's still a lot of time for Uranus to shake things up. And at this point, you know, the halfway point, you're no stranger to what this is, how this is impacting you. But at this particular moment of this new moon, Uranus is working in harmony with this new moon. So it is supporting and uplifting whatever the new thing is that's being initiated in the 5th house. And the 1st house is all about you, right? It's about you, your vitality, your physical being, your appearance, your how you come at the world, how the world perceives you. It's the whole enchilada there in the 1st house. And so there can be something going on, like you intentionally shifting your appearance or changing your appearance that may be a little bit shocking, but ultimately has a positive impact on, you know, how you have fun in life, your joy, or it's like something that comes to mind here is pregnancy, you know, so something that, like, if that's something you've been wanting, this is a potentially time where it's like, surprise, right? Or there's some sudden change in your physical appearance and how you are perceived by the world, kind of thing. And it's directly related to children, or to some kind of creative project that you're getting off the ground, you know, or something like a hobby or something you do for fun even. So those are all potentials. This new moon is culminating at the Pisces full moon on September 20th, and that's in the short term kind of thing. And then in the longer term trajectory, we're looking at the Virgo full moon March 18th of 2022. So it's like this 6-month time frame we're looking at here, that what's being initiated will ultimately sort of like bear the fruit or culminate, you know, in 6 months time. And so, and I spoke about all the different pieces of the puzzle here in the intro video, right? So listen to that definitely before just coming over here and, you know, clicking on your sign and listening to this little snippet, because it won't have as much impact or meaning for you. So that's for you, Taurus. I'm going to move on to Gemini now, where we've got the new moon culminating in your 4th house of home, family, roots, place of living, emotional security, this kind of thing. So something new is being initiated here. Something new is being intended here. You know, that is ultimately encouraging you to bring sort of more meaning and purpose to this area of life, maybe more sort of enchantment, like we talked about in the intro. Definitely listen to the intro if you haven't yet. Part 1 video, the link will be below. And this is being supported by Uranus and Taurus somehow in the case of this new moon. And Uranus and Taurus is in your 12th house. It's transiting your 12th house for the long haul. It's been there for 3 or 4 years, and it's only halfway through its journey right now. So Uranus is there disrupting that area of life in some way. And that area of life, 12th house, speaks to what goes on behind closed doors, literally or metaphorically, right? The subconscious, the dream world, the spiritual life, how you spend time in solitude, how you spend time in rest, vacation even, convalescence. 12th house is about endings and losses and places that take us away from our daily routine. It can have to do with our mental health, you know. So it can involve things like treatment facilities and you know, healthcare facilities and spiritual retreats places, and even places of detention, you know, like prisons and that kind of thing, can all be implicated here in the 12th house. But ultimately, whatever disruption occurs, or whatever insight or you know, breaking free, even when it's Uranus, happens in relation to this new moon, is in support of that new beginning in the 4th house, right? Of home, family, roots, place of living. So, I mean, this can be, oh my goodness, so many things. This can be coming to terms with some kind of self-sabotaging behavior, or even you know, mental health issue that like something happens there. It could even be a moment of crisis, to be truthful. And I'm not saying this is for every Gemini rising, but this is one potential, right? Some sort of crisis that then has the intention of some new beginning in relation to family, in relation to place of living, in relation to emotional sort of safety and security. So it's not hard to imagine, you know, like what that could look like. This could be taken in completely different directions. Something that comes to mind here when we're talking about the 12th and the 4th houses working in harmony is like vacation home. I don't know, like, you know, something like all of a sudden there's this opportunity to like buy a second property that is intended for retreat and relaxation and vacation. You know, and that brings a sense of like, again, meaning, purpose, you know, enchantment to life in some way, shape, or form. So I could take this in a million different directions, but I think I'm going to leave you with that, and encourage you to listen to the introduction if you have not, right? And I don't know if I said, I think I did, but this moon is culminating initially at the Pisces full moon on September 20th, but then in the longer term, in 6 months' time, at the Virgo full moon, March 18th of 2022. So that's the trajectory that we're on, from the sort of planting the seeds to the bearing of fruit in relation to this new moon. So that's for you, Gemini. Next we have Cancer. So Cancer, for you, new moon happening in the 3rd house of communications, you know, daily back and forth exchanges of information, thoughts, ideas, things like, you know, whatever's going on in your immediate environment, and the people in your immediate environment is 3rd house. And this can include people like siblings, cousins, neighbors, peers, teammates, friends that feel like siblings, even those kinds of things, right? It can involve things that have to do with like marketing, commerce, like any sort of exchange like that. Is 3rd house. Short commutes, you know, short sort of weekend jaunts, or that kind of thing, even your daily commute. So this is where something new is on offer for you, where you're being called to, you know, plant new seeds of intention, where something new is being initiated. One of the things I didn't mention is things like, this can be about schooling, like teaching, learning, elementary, high school, that kind of level education we're talking about. So that's a potential as well. Something new, though, on offer here, and an opportunity to bring more meaning and purpose and maybe enchantment to this area of life, right? Like we talked about in the introduction video. That definitely listen to that. I'll put the link below. But that's where the new thing is getting off the ground, and it's being supported by Uranus and Taurus in your 11th house via trine, that trine we talked about in the intro video. Uranus is disrupting your 11th house, or, you know, changing things up there in some way over the long haul. This has been going on for the last 3 or 4 years now, and will continue on for another 3 or 4 years as Uranus continues to transit Taurus. But at the moment of this new moon, Uranus is shaking things up in the 11th house of friends, the group, allies, supporters, hopes and dreams for the future, networks, that kind of thing. And that is ultimately supporting this new beginning in the 3rd house. So it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many different things that this could happen. This could be about. It could be something shocking that goes on with like friends, or a piece of news that suddenly comes in from a friend, right? That impacts your daily surroundings in some way, or what goes on the day to day, or some sort of communication exchange, or things involving, like I said, schooling, right? Even it's so something like that could happen. It could be, oh, dare I say it? There is some, I mean, like 11th, 3rd house. This could be like online, some kind of online learning. But it is a supportive new moon overall, so we have to think about that. This could be you, like, there could be like, okay, I don't know, a friend kind of out of the blue offers something having to do with like building you a new website, some kind of like, you know, giving you a good deal on a new piece of technology, or new like vehicle, or something like that. You know, or you've been like kind of like looking for something like that, and it just so happens that in a group, like maybe even a Facebook group, you find the exact thing that you were looking for, right? And whatever that thing is allows you to, like, it brings us this sense of like maybe like re-enchantment to life in some way, which kind of sounds hokey, but you know, that's how I am perceiving things. And I explained all of that in the introductory video, so definitely listen to that. And so, you know, this new moon is culminating at the full moon in Pisces on the 20th of September. So that's the initial kind of bearing of fruit, if you will. And then in the longer term, there will be a full moon in Virgo, right? The same area of the chart in 6 months' time on March 18th of 2022. So look to that point as being, you know, the kind of full culmination of whatever this fresh start or new thing or initiation is in this third house area of life. Okay, so that's for you, Cancer. Last but not least, we've got Leo. Leo, for you, this new moon is happening in your 2nd house of your personal resources. So your money, right? Your finances, your time, your energy, the money you make from your skills and talents, how you get your basic needs met, what you're placing, like what you place value on, and even your sense of self-worth, right? So are you kind of getting paid what you're worth? Idea can be 2nd house. Are you charging what you're worth, you know? That sort of thing. So something new is being initiated here in the 2nd house area, where you're intending something new. And this new thing can have a sense of, can bring a greater sense, you know, in time, maybe even, of meaning and purpose, and enchantment to 2nd house themes of, like we just talked about, how you make your money, how you get your basic needs met, these sorts of things, right? And this is being supported by Uranus and Taurus in your 10th house of career, public reputation, the legacy you wish to leave, your relationship to authority figures or your own authority, right? How you're seen as an authority, even in some way, shape, or form. And so there is something transpiring in that 10th house of career and legacy and such that may be disruptive or freeing or liberating or shocking or sudden, because those are all Uranus things, right? And we talked about that in greater detail in the intro video, so definitely listen to the intro video. The link is below to that. So Uranus is disrupting this area of life over the long haul. And it's only about halfway through its journey there. It has another 3-4 years to go. But at the moment of this new moon, it is supporting the new moon in Virgo in your second house. So it is supporting the new energy, right? Of whatever that second house stuff is going on for you. So this can be like a promotion that gets you a raise, and it allows you to make more money, and that brings, you know, but somehow it brings a greater sense of like enchantment to your life, or greater sense of meaning and purpose to your life, right? And how you make your money maybe, or how you get your basic needs met. It could be that there's some sort of something occurs around a legacy theme or project, or intention for you, like, you know, your vision for the legacy that you're wanting to leave behind. Some quick happening occurs there, and again, it has this energy of support for your resources, your finances, you know, those kinds of things in your life. So that's kind of exciting. Look to this to culminate initially in 2 weeks' time at the full moon in Pisces. We can see that initial kind of bearing of fruit. And in the longer range at the full moon in Virgo on March 18th of 2022, right? That's sort of the longer vision here, where we can see that whatever seeds have been planted here at the time of this new moon reach fullness. That's one way to put it, at that full moon in Virgo in March. So that's what's going on for you, Leo. And definitely listen to the intro if you haven't. Thanks for hanging out with me here. And I really appreciate your patience with me having to do, you know, this in 2 parts. And I will see you next week. So take good care, and bye for now. This is very comedic because my little thingy won't work here to shut off the video. So I'm just going to leave that part in and do it by hand.